Hello everybody, Chaz Arch here with another video for you, and on the bench today is something I've been gifted recently. It's an old PC. Don't know whether it works, but it looks to be in reasonably quite good order, reasonably clean. Obviously, good old beige metal and plastic cabinet that's seen a bit of sunlight on the plastic. It's got a 5¼ inch floppy disk and a 3½ inch floppy disk. It's got a hard drive light as well. I haven't powered it on, so don't know whether it's going to do anything. Guess we better have a little look inside first. What else have we got on the front? We've got a key lock, which probably doesn't work or isn't connected. Power button, turbo button, reset button, missing label hole in here, and a light button and another zigzag button. LED rather, so 3 LEDs on the front. Let's have a look at the back. Right, on the back we've got a very dusty fan socket. We've got a label here from the company that provided it originally to whoever in Aylesbury. It's an old number because it's not got the 1 after the 0, so it's an 0296 number. Power. We've got what looks to be a CGA VGA card there. We've got possibly printer and other ports. So let's have a little look inside and see what it's going to show us on the inside. Cabinet comes away quite reasonably, and there we have it. So there we've got the inside of it. Let's have a look inside from above. So there we have quite a big motherboard with lots of empty sockets here. Presumably that's the RAM, the memory of it. Can't quite see the processor. I think it may be that's the main processor. Let's have a little look. And it's a Siemens 80286. So it's a 286 processor. Good old beastie. Inside here, so this is definitely a graphics card there. This board here looks like it's connected to the drives. So this is obviously our drive management, and that's just a set of spare sockets, that one there. So we've got the 5¼ inch floppy drive, we've got the 3½ inch floppy, and we've got a hard drive. We've actually got a hard drive in here as well. Let's have a little look at that and see if we can see what that is. And it is an IBM OEM drive, model H3171-A2. It's 171 megabytes. Get that? Back in the day when this was top end, that was a lot of memory. Megabytes, not gigabytes, not kilobytes. This is megabytes. And so hopefully that will work as well. So let's power it up and see what happens. So so that you can see that whether the output comes up. What I'm going to do is going to capture the video output from here. In preparation, I did connect up or set up my VGA capture. So let's pop that on there as well. Oh, need a keyboard. Where's it? Oh, now the keyboard on here, if we go back to the other camera, the keyboard is connected through a DIN connector. That's a 5-pin DIN. That's a good old hi-fi audio connector that was used in the early days. So have I got a keyboard with a DIN socket? Let me go and have a check. Right, no, I don't have a keyboard with a DIN socket. What I have got is a good old USB keyboard, and I've got a PS2 adapter from USB to PS2. And many years ago, because I had to do something similar to this, I made an adapter from an old socket that I took off an old dead motherboard, PS2, wired that into a DIN plug, so I can now adapt that to go on there. So I should be able to connect this keyboard to this computer and hopefully it will work. So let's just switch on the capture. So we should be able to see on here what happens when we power this on. So plugged in, switched onto the socket. Fingers crossed it's not all going to go bang. Oh, it's powering up. We've got power lights on the front and we've got a boot screen coming up. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Right, so it says drive not ready, insert a boot disk. Have I got a boot disk? No, I haven't. But we can see that it's an 80286 processor, no co-processor, floppy drive, 5¼ inch, B5. It says 5¼ inch second drive, but it's a 3.5. So display type VGA or EGA. BIOS date 1989. So what's that? 33 years old. 640k of RAM and external memory of 384, giving us a kilobyte of memory. So what we need to do is to see if we can get into the BIOS on this. Now, normally BIOS on this, when you're booting up, it probably did come up. So I'm going to do a Control Delete Reboot. And we'll press delete. There it is. We'll delete there, and that should go us. Yep, that's given us access into the CMOS setup and diagnostics, built-in diagnostics, would you believe, on the motherboard. And there we are, the CMOS BIOS set for Tuesday, the January the 1st, at 0. And so hard drive is not installed. D is not installed, primary display doesn't say, keyboard doesn't say, but they're there. So obviously we can change the date on here, and to change any settings we use the page up and down keys on the keyboard. So we are now July, and across to the date, which is the 19th. Scroll that through to the 19th. And look, we've even got a calendar on the right hand side showing us that. 1980 was the BIOS date default, so let's go to 2023. And down to the next line, and it's 10, so we're at 10 o'clock. Oops, gone too far. 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's 30, so 10:30 will do. Now, obviously, if there is a BIOS battery, and I couldn't, a brief little look, I couldn't see a BIOS battery in there. So hopefully, if we just keep the mains power on when we do a reboot, it should save that. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to tell it that it's got a hard drive. So if we just write down the details of the hard drive, and on this particular one it says it's got 984 cylinders, 10 heads, and 34 sectors per track. So we can adjust that in the settings. Now this is something that anybody that's got a new computer, Windows does it for you. But this, in the old days, you had to tell the BIOS itself what drive you've got. So we put that down to the hard disk drive type C, and then we use page down, and we've got some presets. So preset 1 says 306 cylinders, so that's no good. So we need to go through what it's got here until we find 984. Let's go through that fairly quickly and see if we get 977. I don't know how many presets. Oh, is that 984? Just no, it's 699. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 987, 7 heads, that's no good. 981, 5 heads, no. Oh, 917. Ah, right, so only 47 types. So here we need to type in our own details. So 984. Now use right arrow key to go to heads, and it's 10 heads. Landing zone doesn't say. Sectors 34. I can't remember what WP-COM is, but there we are. So it's given us 163 megabytes, which is probably the formatted value. So it says 171 there. So 984, 10 heads, 34 sectors. So let's see what happens if we accept those by pressing escape, write the data to the CMOS and exit, yes, and enter. And that should force a reboot, which it's doing. Let's go in for a memory check. There we have it. It's got a megabyte, 1024 kilobytes of RAM. That's a megabyte of RAM. Oh, it's booting from the hard drive. Hey, the hard drive boots. Look at that. And what have we got in there? We've got a program called the Program Director. Now, I remember this. This is a program that you could, I don't think it was freeware. I think you have to buy it. It allows you to set up a DOS-based menu system, and that's what we've got here. So we've got so far only 3 programs installed: WordPerfect 5.1, QBasic, well that would have come with DOS, Microsoft Works, which is number 4, and then we've got options: format hard drive in drive A and B, and then end session is 16. So whatever you get these, and you've got instructions and so on. So if let's go to QBasic, shall we? Press number 2 and then enter. Hey, Microsoft MS-DOS QBasic. Press enter to see the survival guide. Escape to clear. I wonder, does the good old favorite work? 10. Print. Hello world. Next line. For x equals 1 to 100. Oh, hang on, we haven't given it a line number. I have to put in manual line number, so that'll be 20. Space. Go to the end and enter. Oh, it's automatically corrected the thing, so it's syntactically clever. I remember that now. QBasic did that, didn't it? 30. Next X. Right. So we've done a program. So now we want to run it. Now a typing run I don't think works. No, it doesn't. So what we have to go for the top menu there. We can see. So that would be using the Alt key. Yeah, there it is. And then R to run. And run. Oh, I see now. Yeah, it's still running. It's got to be more than 100. So Control C to crash out of it. No, oh, I know. Break. Press the break key. And there it is. CLS to clear the screen. Oh no. That's pause and break. There's that control break. Shift break. Ooh, we're stuck. Ah, there we are. We'll come back to it. I don't think that run makes any difference. Next X. I suppose what we really should have done is set the loop before the hello world. Yeah, because what it's doing is printing, then doing the loop. So it should only do, yeah, really what we should do. I wonder if we can do that. I seem to remember we could change a line number here, make that 05. And it should automatically sort that out. So Alt R start. I'm having too much fun. Yeah, press any key to continue. There you go. I was right. So it's sorted itself. Anyway, this is beyond the point. I've got a lovely old 286 that's working. Alt file, exit, save the loaded file. No, I'm not bothered about saving that. Enter no, and we're back to the control panel. I wonder if Microsoft works. Let's do 4 and enter. Onto a dark screen. Hard drive light is flashing. Yeah, I can hear that. Ah, there we are. Microsoft works. Create new file, open existing file. So let's go down, open. So you can use a keyboard for this. And there we've got various programs. We've got a work spreadsheet. We've got graphics. I wonder if it'll open that. Open it as a word processor, but it's not really a word processor, it's a graphic. So if I click OK, it's just going to give us a whole bunch, yeah, jumble. But anyway, works, it's working. What am I going to do with it? Good question. It'd be handy for retrieving old documents and files from old floppy disks and so on, written in those formats in Works, or what was the other one? Word Perfect. So let's go Alt, File, Exit. And it's sad, I remember all these because I grew up with DOS. Many people, what's DOS? Disk Operating System. Yeah. So, Word Perfect. I don't know that one. I remember Works, I remember using Works. I don't remember anything else. Go 16 and end the session. And that should take us back. Oh, the heads are now parked. So it's now safe to turn off. So this would be what would be start shutdown in today's world. So there we are. What am I going to do with it? Going to have a think. Go away, have a cup of tea, think what I'm going to do with it. Come back. Well, been away, had a nice cup of tea, been for a walk with the dog, had a thought, and basically I'm just going to keep this exactly as it is. I was gifted some old hard drives that work on the ATA format, which this drive works, and I can use this as a bit of a test bed to see if there's old files on there that I can retrieve, and it's basically going to come in handy as that. Now, one other thing that I thought I might have a go at is looking at the RAM here, etc. If I can find details of this motherboard, what I might do is seeing if I can add some extra chips to this to increase the memory. I'm not sure whether that's even going to be worth it. The other thing that I've got is some old ISA cards, which I can at least test them, and if they're working, then because basically I bought a huge box of old cards, and one of the things I've always wanted to do is be able to test them, but I haven't had a machine with ISA slots in for years and years and years. So I might test them in this, see if they work, see if they actually produce anything, and then I can put them on eBay for anybody else that wants an ISA card for a particular thing. A lot of them are graphics cards, so if the graphic if they work graphical wise, then that's great. I know the diagnostics on this are actually very useful on this BIOS. So what I think I might do is another video a bit later on showing how the diagnostics run on this board and what they used to be like before the days of modern computers took over. But anyway, it's a good old beastie, still seems to be okay. I don't know whether the BIOS has got a battery anywhere. I couldn't see one, but it might have one of these real-time clock chips or RTC chips that had a built-in battery in the actual chip itself. And you can't change the battery unless you destroy the chip, generally speaking. There might be a method of doing it, but I'm not even going to bother to try that. So I'm not that worried if the clock runs slow or it changes date every time I boot it up. That's no problem. I can, as you've seen earlier, I can change that. There we are. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on another video, hopefully a follow-up to this one with a little bit more information. Bye bye.